Hello viewers, welcome to Kids Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a 2017 Mercedes Sprinter. It's an RV, Winnebago RV. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the vehicle is losing power. There are a couple lights on the dash. We're gonna go in the vehicle so we can confirm the customer's complaint. I'm gonna start the engine. So we can see the lights that are remaining on the dash. And then we're gonna connect the scan tool to the vehicle to see what codes we have in the engine computer. Now, before we scan this vehicle, I'm gonna give you guys a quick tour of this RV. Actually, it looks really nice. We're gonna look inside and then we're gonna start diagnosing this vehicle. Before we do that, I wanna give a shout out to the man behind the camera, our famous cameraman Matt. Thanks for being here. So now, if you guys can come here with me, Matt, if you can walk here with me, let's do a quick little tour. So you can show this side. It's a pretty nice RV. And then you can go on the inside and show the inside. Look how nice it looks. Man, we should just move in here. It's pretty nice. Good. So now, let's get our scan tool connected. Let's start the engine now. I believe this one has a 2.1 liter engine. So as you can hear, the engine is running. Matt, can you show the check engine light? Right there. As you can see, the check engine light remains on the dash. And then the ESP light is on too. The traction control light is on. Look, there is a message that says 15 starts remaining. All right. So that's customer's complaint, confirmed. How many miles does this thing have? This RV has 144,000 miles. All right, so I'm gonna turn off the engine. I'm gonna turn the key on. Although the back end of the vehicle is an RV, but it's a Sprinter van, okay? It is a Sprinter, so we're gonna fix this the same way we fix the other Sprinters that we get here. So I'm gonna connect my scan tool dongle down here. We're gonna get our screen recorder going. Now this RV looks nice. It's nice inside. You know, it looks really nice. All right, so let's see. We're gonna find the first, second, third, and fourth digit of the VIN. The first 4 digits of the VIN on this RV are 8B and P. I don't see a Sprinter here that has 8B and P. We only have 8B TP. Let me click on that. Let's see what happens. I might have to switch scan tools because I'm having trouble finding this Sprinter. You see, it's scanning it as a 3.0. I guess it is. For some reason I thought it was a 2.1. It's not. Okay. All right. Let's scan it. Let's see. Although the digits over here on the VIN didn't make sense, but let's see. Let's do a code scan. This is gonna scan all the control units on this vehicle. Wow, this thing's got a lot of trouble codes. All right, so you guys will see this. We have 15 trouble codes in the engine computer. The first trouble code is a OEM specific code. The second code says the AdBlue fill is too low. So it looks like the AdBlue level is low. Look at this thing over here. What do you think, Matt? You think this is good? This is no bueno. Is there anything in there? It looks like it's. Now, the other thing that I see is those who own these RVs, they don't drive them all the time. Usually they park them for a while. And then when they do, you know, you would have, depending on where they park them, you might have these DEF fluid, you know, crystallized like this, and that can cause problems, you know. So we have 2 AdBlue codes. The first one is P16CC00. The AdBlue level is too low. Second one is P16CD00. The AdBlue field level is too low. The frequency counter possible engine start is active, so that's why we have the 15 starts message on the dash. And then the fourth code is P123900. It says the boost pressure is too low. So we might have a boost leak, we might have a turbo actuator that's not working, we might have a bad turbo. So these are things that we're familiar with. I'm very familiar with these codes. You know, we specialize on Sprinter vans. We work on a lot of them. So, and then we have EGR code. We have P16E100 error case for the collected maximum error status. Actually, we have my man Ian down there working on the Freightliner Sprinter. Sounds like that thing is gonna need a belt. The belt is squeaking. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Anyways, and then we have the EGR, the exhaust recirculation rate is too high. So here's the EGR valve. Matt, if you can show this valve over here. That's the EGR valve right there. The wiring of the valve looks good. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some tests there. And then we have another code here, P155C00, can signal engine off time from the control unit A1 instrument cluster is implausible. And then we have, oh man, we got a bunch of codes. I'm not gonna read all of them. You guys can pause this if you wanna read all these codes. We have a code about the fuel filter heater with condensation sensor has a short circuit. This is usually a filter problem, because the sensor on the filter usually goes bad. There it is right there. I don't know if Matt will be able to see that, but yeah, right there. We have it's pretty dark over there. That's your fuel filter right there. All right, cool. Now how are we gonna fix this? So based on what I see, what I would do is I'm gonna add the DEF fluid first. Let's put some DEF fluid in the DEF tank. And then I want to check the actuator of the turbo to make sure the actuator is working. If the actuator is working, we're going to smoke the induction system to see if we have a leak in the induction system, because a leak in the induction system would cause a low boost code to be set in the engine computer. And then we're going to check the EGR valve. Now, we could also have an EGR valve that's sticking open. If the EGR valve is sticking open, that can also cause a low boost code, because think of the turbo sending enough boost air to the intake manifold, but if the EGR valve is slightly stuck open, all that charged air is going to leak through the EGR valve and back to the exhaust system. So that a stuck open EGR valve can also cause boost leak codes to be set in the engine computer, and that will cause the van to go into limp mode. And then we have a knock sensor code, P178700. The upper limit value of component A97/1 control unit of knock sensor upstream of the SCR catalytic converter has exceeded. So yeah, we could have a bad NOx sensor, or maybe it's because this DEF system is empty, so there is no DEF fluid being sprayed in the exhaust system. That's going to cause the parts per million data from the first NOx sensor to be way higher than normal. So let's see what else we have. A bunch of trouble codes. And then ECM/PCM power relay de-energized, performance too early. All right. So on the generic side of the tool, we only have 3 codes: EGR code, NOx sensor code, and ECM power relay code. All right, so where do we go from here? Where do we go now? Where do we go now? All right, anyways, let's pick a direction. So I'm gonna, the Snap-on scan tool is not really good at bidirectional controls when it comes to European vehicles. I'm going to connect my RTEL scan tool to the vehicle at this point. Right, what I would do right now is I would erase all the trouble codes and then go on a test drive to see how the vehicle drives and then to see what codes come back. But this van stinks, I don't want to drive it. Okay, I'm going to try to do all the tests here so we can figure out what's going on. I'm going to avoid driving this. I always like driving cars so I can confirm the customer's complaint, but unfortunately it's very uncomfortable sitting in this van. So I'm going to connect my RTL scan tool to the vehicle so that we can turn on the EGR valve to see if it's coming on and off. Then we're going to turn on the actuator on the turbo to see if it's working. And then we're going to smoke the induction system to make sure that we don't have a boost leak somewhere. And then we're going to put DEF fluid in the tank. And after that, I'm going to erase all the codes. All right, so I am gonna switch scan tools and then I'll be right back. I have my RTL scan tool connected to the vehicle. The key is on. So we're gonna click F1. Okay, so when it comes to bidirectional controls, RTL is better. Now I have my snap-on connected. So Matt, if you can show everyone my connections here. So we're gonna use the lab scope on the snap-on. So I'm back probing all the wires at the EGR valve. Okay, so we're going to use our lab scope to see the voltages that we have at the EGR valve electrical connector. If we have the control there coming from the ECM, that will tell me that the valve is bad. I believe the issue is the valve, but we're not just gonna change the valve without checking the wiring. So let me do a forward scan here. Okay, we already looked at these codes on our snap-on scanner. Okay, so we saw these already. Now, since the ESP light was on, the ESP is the ABS system on these sprinters. So we have a code that says C325600. The specified values of cruise control are implausible. And then the other one says supply voltage of the electronic stability program braking system is faulty. And then the last one is C104200. The CAN signal steering angle sensor from the steering column control unit is faulty. Okay, so this cruise control code is a little bit interesting. We could have a clock spring that's failing on this one. I'm gonna try to honk the horn to see if it works. So let me push on the horn button. Let's see if it works. Okay, so the horn works. So it's probably not a clock spring issue. So I'm gonna have to do some more research on this. We might have to do a separate video for the codes that we have in the ABS control unit, because I don't want this video to be super long. So in this video, I'm gonna focus on the codes that we have in the engine computer. So I am going to go in the engine computer. This thing is taking a while. What? Okay. So I'm gonna bring up our lab scope here. Let me get the screen recorder going here. Okay, we're gonna go to our lab scope. We're gonna use all our 4 channels. The fact that we have some type of control across the screen, this tells me that the wiring of the EGR valve is good. So now I'm gonna try to turn on the EGR valve with the scan tool, exhaust gas recirculation valve. So let's try to turn it on and see what happens. Our control on the scan tool should change right there. There. So look at the green trace on the lab scope screen. So the fact that we have control on the green trace, this tells me that the wiring of the valve is good. And usually when the valve is good, you can hear the valve making noise. Yeah, it feels like this EGR valve is stuck. Yeah, I cannot hear it. So our control is there. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna move this guy to the last wire here. Okay, so I moved the yellow one because this EGR valve has 5 wires. So we're using a 4-channel scope. So now I'm gonna move this one over here. We have some type of control on the yellow trace. Yeah, the wiring is fine. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so defective EGR valve, that we know and that we can confirm already. So I am going to get my lab scope out of the way. We are done with this. One thing we know so far is this van needs an EGR valve because this valve is stuck. Now, I know there are some people out there who like unsticking these valves. I don't do that. I just change them because it's not worth it. If you try to clean it, a few weeks or a few months down the road, it's gonna get stuck again. Usually there's a lot of carbon that builds up around the valve and then it causes it to get stuck. So now the next thing we're gonna check is the boost pressure positioner, the actuator on the turbo. So I am going to, let me see if I can move the air filter box out of the way. Guys, it's hot. Cameraman Matt is sweating behind the camera. Oh, Matt, you are the best. Okay, so Matt, you're gonna focus on this actuator here on the turbo. You see this actuator? Okay, so I'm gonna turn it on. If the wiring of the actuator is good, we should have power and ground and control at the actuator. And if the actuator is good, this little lever should move up and down. So here we go. Because if that actuator is not working, the van is gonna lose power. Nothing, nothing, nothing. It's not working. Okay, let me do one more thing. You can stay focused on that. I'm gonna cycle the key on and off and tell me if it's gonna move. Is it working?
I hear something. I don't know what I'm hearing, but it's not moving.
Okay, so the noise that you're hearing, that is the swirl motor. That's the motor between the intake manifolds. That's the swirl motor cycling on and off. But let me actually turn the key on and off a couple more times. Look at the actuator, and then I'm gonna start it. Okay, just be careful under here. I'm gonna start the engine. Tell me if the actuator is gonna move. So I'm cycling the key on and off. Key off, key on, off, on. I'm gonna start the engine.
Yeah, it went up when you started.
It went up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It went down.
Now I'm gonna rev up the engine. Is it moving? Okay. Okay, the actuator is moving. Actually, I heard the turbo hissing. When I revved it, I don't know if you heard, there was like this, wee, you know, that turbo hissing noise. So that means the turbo is most likely working and the actuator is moving. Now, the fact that the actuator is moving when we start the engine, that means the wiring of the actuator is good. I know for some reason on some sprinters, when you turn on the actuator with the scan tool, sometimes they don't come on. And you know, the quickest way to do that, to check them, is turning the key on and off or starting the engine. Because when you start the engine, that lever should go up and down when you first start the engine, or when you rev up the engine. Okay, so we can already rule out any potential turbo actuator fault. The turbo actuator is good. The based on the sound I heard, the turbo was working. So EGR valve is stuck. Now what should we check next? The next thing we're gonna check is, let's smoke the induction system to make sure that we do not have a boost leak somewhere. And then after that, the next thing we would check would be testing the NOx sensor. So I'm going to get my smoke machine set up. I'm gonna get the scan tools out of the way. I'll get the smoke machine set up and then I'll bring you guys back up. We got the scan tools out of the way. We have our high output smoke machine connected to the air inlet tube. So here's our high pressure smoke machine. Matt, if you can show this. This is good to find boost leaks.
Yep.
Perfect, okay. So let me turn it on. I'm going to increase the pressure. Actually, it's always good to start with low pressure and then increase as you go. It's blurry out here, so guys, sorry for the glare. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this, Matt? So we're gonna send smoke down the induction system at, let's do 11 psi. Connect the adapters. I don't usually use this thing. Ian knows how to use this. Hold on. Let's see.
It looks like it's.
What does it say? I think that's how you do it. Then you just have to wait. Let me see if let me see if there's smoke coming out of this. Oh, the airline is not connected. That's why. No wonder it's not working. Oh, there. Here. Now we got smoke.
It's leaking.
Oh, it's leaking. Let's wait. Let me check. Let me make sure we got smoke. Oh, yeah. Did you see the pressure? Nice. That smoke smells good.
What, lemon?
Yeah, it smells like lemon or something.
Am I hungry?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think once you set it up, now it's building pressure. I don't know if you can see the screen.
I can see it now. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's building pressure now. It's supposed to go all the way up to, right now we have 1 psi. It's supposed to go all the way up to 11 psi. Yeah, this is a good tool. It's a good tool to have, especially when it comes to finding boost leaks. So now we're gonna observe, we're gonna look around the engine bay. We've done this multiple times here on our channel. Most of you are familiar with this test. I'm looking around to see if there's a leak. Nothing so far. Okay, it's building pressure. We went up to 1.5 psi. Because if there's no leaks, it's just gonna keep building pressure until it reaches 11 psi. I don't see, I'm gonna look under here. The charger cooler looks dry. Nothing under the vehicle. All right, so I don't want to turn the camera, I don't want to keep the camera on while we're waiting. So let me open the, let's see here. Ooh.
There goes all your pressure.
That's high pressure. So it builds a lot of pressure. So we don't have a boost leak. If we don't have a boost leak, then why do we have a low boost code in the engine computer? Man, did you see how it was holding pressure? Dang, that was only 2 psi. Because we also don't want to pressurize it for too long, knowing how much pressure this machine sends to the system, because if you pressurize it for too long, you can potentially damage some stuff. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Ooh, high pressure, baby. All right. Well, apparently we don't have a boost leak. Now, here's the other thing that can cause a low boost code if you don't have a boost leak. It could be that EGR. If the EGR valve is stuck open, that's going to cause a boost leak. So, actually, let me turn off this machine. at this point we are done, okay? We don't have a boost leak, that's good. Now what I wanna do, the next thing I wanna do is, I kinda wanna remove this EGR valve to see if it's stuck open, because a stuck open EGR valve will cause a boost leak, boost pressure to leak back to the exhaust system, or we could have a turbo actuator that's failing intermittently. I've seen turbo actuators fail intermittently and cause this. I mean, cause low boost codes. So, since we don't want to test drive this, Matt is saying drive it with the windows down. We can, because just so we can feel it and see how it drives right now. The other thing we want to do is we also want to test the wiring of the NOx sensor. If the wiring of the NOx sensor is good, then we're gonna have to change the NOx sensor also. And then the filter, come and look at this filter here, Matt. You see how rusty it is? Look at the fuel filter. We had codes for the sensor on the filter. So yeah, we're gonna have to change this. See how rusty this fuel filter is? It looks like this filter has never been changed in a while. It's been a long time since this, it's been a while since this filter has been changed. So next thing I want to check is NOx sensor. Now to get to the NOx sensor, we're gonna have to crawl under the truck. All right, so let me figure out how we can get to the NOx sensor, and then I'll bring you guys back up so we can test the wiring of the NOx sensor. If the wiring is good, then I'm gonna recommend changing the EGR valve on this one, changing the fuel filter, changing the NOx sensor. We're gonna fill up the DEF tank, and then we'll take it on a test drive again and see what happens. We are here under the vehicle. I'm back probing the wires at the first NOx sensor. So we back probed all these wires. So now I'm gonna turn the key on so we can look at what voltages we have at these 4 wires. We're gonna use the lab scope to check the wiring of the NOx sensor. So that's our connections. Now let's see what we have on the lab scope. Let's see. All right, so now we're gonna go to our lab scope. Okay, let me put this over here. You guys will see this on the screen. I'm gonna put the lab scope here. We should have power and ground, and then a message, a network message on the other 2 wires. Let me make sure the key is on. All right, so the key is on. Okay, here we are. You guys will see this on the screen. So we have power on the green trace. It looks like red trace is our sensor ground, and then blue and yellow are our communication wires. Yeah, okay. So this is good. This over here tells me that the wiring of the sensor is good. The sensor is the problem. So we're gonna change the first NOx sensor. I mean, I said this already. First NOx sensor is gonna get changed. Fuel filter, EGR valve. Now, I'm not gonna, I can also recommend changing the actuator on the turbo, but I'm not gonna recommend it yet because we could have a stuck open EGR valve that may cause the boost leak to leak back into the exhaust. So again, this tells us that the wiring of the NOx sensor is good. We're good here. Now, there's one more thing I want to do before we finish the first part of our diagnosis. Okay, we're focusing on the engine side first. Then I'm gonna make an estimate. I'm gonna get the estimate approved. The customer wants us to fix this. They're getting ready to go on a trip. So we're gonna fix this first, and then we're gonna check the ESP system. So I'm gonna go in the vehicle and turn the key off. All right, so the key is off. We know that our NOx sensor wiring is good, so I'm gonna disconnect these. After we change the sensor, this should be good. And then a bad NOx sensor will cause the start count light to come on the dash. So I'm sure after we replace the NOx sensor and we fill up the DEF tank, we should be good to go there. Before we end this diagnosis video, I want to get the tools. We're gonna remove the EGR valve. Removing the EGR valve is very straightforward. Let's get the EGR valve out so we can see if it's stuck, and then we will be done with our diagnosis. So I'm going to get these test leads out of the way. I'm gonna get the tools we need so we can remove the EGR valve, and then I'll bring you guys back up.
Yep.
Whatever, just show this. What are you? I know that's not a good angle. All right, so we're gonna remove this EGR valve. We already checked the wiring. We know the wiring is good. I'm gonna disconnect the electrical connector. So at this point, I'm just double checking. Okay, check and double check. This step is probably not necessary, but I just want to be 1000% sure before I make the estimate. And I'm suspecting that this EGR valve is stuck open, and it's causing the low boost code to also be set in the engine computer. So we're gonna disconnect. Let's release some pressure here. We're gonna disconnect this coolant line. There will be a little bit of coolant that's gonna leak out. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Come on. And then we're gonna undo the other one here. Okay, and then we're gonna undo these bolts. The EGR valve has 4 bolts that hold it around, on the housing. So after we remove all these 4 bolts, then the EGR valve should come out. Okay, so now I'm gonna tap this valve up. Sometimes they get stuck, so yeah, this thing is completely stuck. Dang. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, it's moving. We got it. We got it, buddy. Yeah, buddy. There. Look at it. Here's the EGR valve. It's stuck. Yeah, look. Oh, it's sticking. Look. When you open it, it's supposed to come back. It's not. Look. See how it's sticking? It's supposed to come back. Actually, I have another bad EGR valve here. Let me go. Okay, this is the one that came out of this, okay? You see when you close this, when you open it, it's supposed to go back. You see how it's sticking? This is a problem. All right, so here's another EGR valve that I have here in the shop. It's an old valve, but it's good. It's a non-good valve. I took it out of a used engine that we installed in one of the sprinters here a while back. So let's check this one more time. You see? So this valve opens like this. As you can see, this one is sticking. If this one sticks open like this, this can cause a low boost, because this over here is part of the, so this tube connects to the intake manifold. Okay, this tube over here connects to the intake manifold. So the boost air that goes to the intake manifold also comes through this EGR tube. So if this EGR valve is stuck open, this is gonna cause a boost leak. So the boost pressure will leak back to the exhaust system, okay? Because a stuck open EGR valve will cause this. So as you can see, this is not coming back. Now let me show you the used non-good that I have here in the shop. I usually use this for testing purposes. I'm not going to sell this to the customer. We're going to have to buy a brand new one. So watch this. Can you tell the difference, Matt? Mm-hmm. See, when I open this, it closes by itself. Once you let off, it closes. Okay, this is how a good valve acts. This is what the good valve does. It's supposed to close on its own. But when you open this one, look, it sticks. That's it. We are done with our testing. This EGR valve has to be changed. Okay, so once again, this can cause a low boost code to be set in the engine computer, especially if it's stuck open. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna recommend, oops, we have a little bug on my face. Dang, it's hot. Ooh, are you hot, Matt? A little bit. I'm hot. And it's lunchtime, so I'm ready to go out to lunch. I'm gonna make an estimate. I'm gonna recommend replacing the fuel filter, EGR valve, NOx sensor, first NOx sensor, and then we're gonna fill up the DEF tank, and then we're gonna clear the codes and go on a test drive, and after that we're gonna come back and see how the vehicle is going to drive. So the NOx sensor, replacing the NOx sensor and filling up the DEF system, hopefully there's no other issues in the DEF system. That will take care of the 15 counts message on the dash, and then the stack open, the sticking EGR valve will most likely take care of the low boost code, since we don't have a boost leak. We saw that. And what else? I think that's it. Now about the ESP light, we might have to do a separate video for that. I mean, we can do that tomorrow. There was a code for the steering angle sensor. We're gonna have to check that, but I'm not gonna add that in this video. It's gonna be, otherwise the video is gonna be too long. I'm gonna do that on a separate video. So I'm gonna leave this right over here. This is gonna be part 1 on this RV. So this is the end of our diagnosis, first part of the diagnosis. We're gonna replace these components and then go on a test drive to see what happens. Hopefully the customer is gonna give us the go ahead to do this job. I'm sure we'll get the job. We're gonna bring you guys back up probably tomorrow. After I get all these parts, we're gonna replace them, and then we're gonna keep rolling. So we're gonna leave this right over here. Be on the lookout for part 2. Cameraman Matt, thanks for being here. If you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. If you're a subscriber coming back to watch this video, I appreciate you. Guys, I wanna ask for a favor. We are across other platforms. We're across a lot of platforms. I would like to ask you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We're doing good on YouTube, but we also want to do well on other social media platforms. So if you have Facebook, go follow us on Facebook. If you have Instagram, follow us on Instagram. If you have TikTok, follow us on TikTok. We will be posting more on our other social media. So thank you very much for being here. See you guys next time.